Hello to all of my motivators family. How are you doing? I'm Marlene. I'm the content creator of Marlene Motivates, and I definitely appreciate every single one of my loved ones for supporting me, supporting my channel, all of those things. And I just wanted to come in and do a topic. And today's topic is about a loveless relationship or a loveless marriage. It's just some things that was like on my mind that I wanted to talk about, which I think is something that's very important for us to discuss. So, my question is not question, but something that I want to say. Why do people stay in loveless relationships, whether it be a relationship or loveless marriages? We're going to talk about it, okay? First of all, I wanted to say this to, he said, coming in with the eyes. Um, a lot of people, they stay in loveless relationships because they feel that they have no other choice. For some people, it's about customs, their culture, and they're just not interested in the person anymore. That can be a really big issue. Is sometimes people could want to get out of a loveless marriage, but because of their culture, because of their faith, because of so many different things, not having certain things, which we're going to talk about in this discussion. So people stay in loveless relationships for a number of reasons, including the number one, it's fear. People fear starting over again, and it's a real thing. Especially when you've probably been out of the game of relationships for a while. You don't want to start all over again. You rather just stay with the person that you've been with. you know I know it's something that's wild, but a lot of people do it. I understand, Estad, if you don't love me, I'm out, period. Yeah. But sometimes it's the love, love is defined in different ways for different people. I will say it like this. I'm not always talking about the verbal, saying it in words. I mean in actions. I mean in the way that you're being treated. I mean in finances. There's so many ways that people can show up. Okay? People can show up for themselves, but they don't show up for you. Hi, hi, I can't even say your name. Hi, Alam. How are you doing? It's a lot of people, they will be in a loveless relationship, a loveless marriage, and they stay because of fear. They fear not, they don't want to do it all over again. They don't want to start all over again. They don't want to start dating again. They don't want to start looking for a home. So many different things that, you know, and that's what it is. So let me start off by saying this. Why do people stay in a loveless marriage? Is for fear. People may stay in a relationship out of fear of the unknown, fear of change, or fear of being alone. Hey, realist, how are you doing? Hi, Con. Hi, Nancy. Welcome in. Oh, I know what I've got to do. Hold on a second, guys. I know what I forgot to do. It just showed up here in my back office. Let me take care of this. I forgot to put it on that mode that I need to put it on. It's a lot of people in here yeah, that's for me every single week, realist. So let me say this, everybody. Make sure that if you're going to be in a relationship, make sure it's a relationship where you can be happy and satisfied. Hi, Miley. How are you doing? Hi, Miss Lynn. How are you doing? Welcome in. So, do you know somebody who is in a relationship that is, they're very sad in the relationship? They're very unhappy and they'd rather appear to be a certain way. People stay in relationships. It's crazy to me because of clout. You know, they want to, like, oh, just to be able to say that they're married or just to be able to say they have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. They stay in things longer and they should have been got out. They should have been done so many different things, but they didn't. So that's one thing that I think that is very sad, that people think that they have to stay in a relationship because they fear being alone, they fear the change, they fear what other people are going to say about them. I've heard that so often, where people just don't have enough strength from within to walk away from something that they know is just not working. You know for sure you're unhappy. You know for sure you're not growing in the relationship, but yet stick around. And we're going to talk about some more of those things. Yes, Miss Nancy, appearance is so important to some people. Yeah, they don't want to appear like, oh no, I don't want other people to know I'm single, or I don't want other people to know that I got divorced, or I don't want other people, and especially some people, they stay because out of the children, and I can get that. When you have children, you don't want it to disturb them, affect them, their mental health, and so many other different reasons. But I think that it's important for us to, we have to think about ourselves too. That yes, your children are important and their emotions are important too. But at the same time, you as a woman or you as a man need to consider how you're doing. Are you in a good space mentally and emotionally and spiritually? And it can affect so many different things. Realist says, oh, Miss Nancy had one first. Miss Nancy said, my sanity is worth more for me. Yeah. And sometimes being in these relationships, these loveless relationships, it's just so taxing on you mentally. If you find that somebody is affecting your mental health like this, that you're actually, like, you're literally losing your mind, you know, if you feel like you're literally losing your mind being around certain individuals, hey Prez, how you doing? Welcome in. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Realist says it's amazing what some folk will endure because they can't fathom being alone, even if it involves being mistreated. I've heard people say that all the time. I'd rather be in a relationship where I'm being cheated on, I'm being, physically assaulted, not being treated the right way financially. They would rather have what they call a piece of a man, a piece of a woman, than have a good woman or have a good man. And I, for one, I'm not one of them. I'm not the one. I don't know about y'all. But if I cannot be respected the way that I deserve, you got to go. Okay, so here's another one why people will stay in a loveless marriage or a relationship: because of finances. We know that in this economy, things are tight. People are on a budget and they can barely make it. So if they figure, if they go and they leave the relationship, how am I going to be able to pay this bill? How am I going to be able to do X, Y, and Z? Hey, Wellness, how are you doing? Welcome. Appreciate it. Hi, Jessica. How are you doing? Welcome. But that's what they do. That's what a lot of people do. They stay in a loveless marriage. They stay in a loveless relationship because they figure, oh, why should I try again? It's hard enough out there. They'll make the excuses. I don't want to try all over again. I don't want to go out there and find somebody new. Excuses, 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 and there's many. Hey, Shay, how are you doing? Welcome. And we all know the excuses, right? So many excuses. So finance is one of them. For me personally, I do understand. I get the finances things. Things are so expensive in the stores. Everything is going up. Groceries, rent, everything is going up because of inflation, but your pay, right? So I understand, because money matters can be a big factor in whether someone stays in an unhappy marriage. For some people, they care more about how much money they have in their bank account than the way that they're being treated. And for me, that doesn't equate. Like, why would you stay with somebody just because they're giving you money? I guess some people are just out for the money, that they live in this beautiful home, that they have certain things, that they have these clothes. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, you have things, but they're never around you. You never spend any time together. There's a lack of communication. There's a lack of support. You're not being supported in the things that you want and the things that you like. So why stick around? Why stay where love is not there? I want to hear some of your thoughts as well, besides the ones that I'm coming up with too. Another one is why people stay in a loveless marriage is out of comfort, you know? And for me, that's crazy. Like, the two don't match, but people stay together out of fear of losing the comfort that they have with their partner. You know, they get used to them. I'm used to this relationship. Okay, I'm used to how they act. You know how they act. You know how they're going to treat you. And instead of going out there and finding somebody who is going to actually treat you with love, like for me, the whole thing is like being in love, being happy together, feeling drawn to that person like a magnet. There's nothing like that. But I guess for some people, the love is not important. Uh, Hi, Jess. Let's see. I think I missed a comment from Jessica. Jessica says, well, misery loves company. I guess. And sometimes the whole thing is that you don't even have the company. Like, there's some relationships where they haven't seen that said person in days, weeks, months. They only drop in and drop out, maybe just to come home, get a change of clothes, take a shower, maybe get some food, and they're right back out the door again. It's crazy. So why is it that people feel that they should stay in a relationship where there's no love there? There's no communication. And one thing that I just learned recently is that the problem with most people is not communication. That's not the problem with most people in a loveless marriage or any relationship. The problem is not the communication, but how a person receives it. It's how it's communicated, it's how it's said in a way that a person can understand. It's the application. So you could be telling somebody how you feel all the time. It's not that. You could be telling somebody until you're blue in the face how you feel, what you're going through. And if that person, if it's not significant to them, if it's not something they want to care about, if that person doesn't care about you, and you're wasting your time. So a lot of times people say, oh, you didn't communicate how you feel. You didn't communicate how you felt in a way that maybe that they understood in their communication style, because not everybody is a person that communicates via words. There's more than one way to communicate with other people. Another way is sometimes it's in a written form through email and text message, a letter. But that's not saying that it's going to get through. Jessica says, people just want anybody to not be alone. Isn't that sad? I feel that that's so sad. Thank you so much, Realist, for dropping links. Hey, Slice of Farming, how are you doing? Welcome. There's so many people that all they care about is just not having to pay any bills. For some people, you could do anything to them and they don't care, because now they know. Some people stay in that relationship out of the convenience of, I don't have to work with them, so I don't care who they're with, I don't care what they're doing. For me, that's a reflection on the self-esteem of that person. Because if you love yourself, you would never allow yourself to be treated like a doormat. And my personal opinion, I'm not here to say how everybody feels, but I'm speaking how I feel. But once you are in a relationship with somebody and the trust is gone, the respect is gone, I can never be in a relationship with somebody that I can't trust. When they've done things that shows that I can't trust you anymore, for me, the relationship is over. It doesn't matter how nice, how kind, how many years, what you've been through together. For me, everything gets washed away when a person is choosing to, they choose their job over you, they choose their friends over you, they choose money over you. They choose another person over you. They choose their family over you. So, yeah, it's all of those things. So that's one of the things that I wanted to say to all of you. It's something that is so important for us to, have a conversation and to talk about these things. Another thing is that people stay in a loveless marriage because they believe that things will improve, right? Have you ever seen that? People stick around and they say, like, oh, I remember how she was, or I remember how he was when we first met. So they're looking for a person to go back to how they were when you first met them. A lot of that is some of the narcissistic things, like people will love bomb you in a relationship, tell you they love you, or they'll do nice things to you or treat you a certain way, and they don't really care about you. It's just something that they did in order to get you, and in order to get something from you. And then when they get what they want, then they move on. Yes, Miss Nancy. I think everybody has done that. I think just about everybody. Until you get to know yourself, until you develop confidence and all of those things, you stay longer than you should, right? I think everybody is guilty of staying way longer than you should. So I just want to have this conversation to encourage, to motivate anybody who is in a relationship. The relationship is not going anywhere. You don't feel supported, or you ask for things and it's not even big things. It's small things, it's simple things, and they're not willing to do that, or they make it seem like everything you ask for is such a big deal, and all you're asking for is simple things as respect, communication, spending time together, you know just being together, and talking about certain things. But I believe 100% when communication shuts down, when either that person doesn't want to communicate with you, or they have an attitude about talking about certain issues and problems, that's the beginning of the end of a relationship, especially if the relationship gets to the point where you're being ignored. They stop talking to you, they ghost you because they're going through something. Yes, a wellness. Love is such a double-edged sword type of dynamic. It is. It's something very complicated. And my mom used to always tell me, be careful how you meet somebody, because that's how you're going to lose them. You know? I think it's very sad because some people, they'll go and get in a relationship with somebody. They know that that person is married already. They know, like, they took them from somebody, or it was something, a grimy way, but it wasn't a healthy, it wasn't your relationship to have. So how you get a person is how you keep them, you know? So you knew that they had anger issues. You know that they were going through certain things when you met them, you know? Yes, everybody wants to be loved, but at what cost? Yeah. What is it going to cost you in order to be in this relationship, right? Here's another one. Yeah, I just said that. They believe things will improve. People may stay in the relationship because they remember why they fell in love with their partner, and they believe things will get better. They believe things will get better. But I do understand that there's going to be some There's going to be some hills and valleys. There's going to be hard times and bad times. But I always say, if your whole relationship is all bad times and there's not good times, like when you're going through things, of course, there's going to be some financial problems. Of course, there's going to be some health issues. There's going to be some grief, some loss, something. You're going to go through things together. That's what life is. I don't mean that part, but I mean the things outside. Like if you have somebody and they're a serial cheater, or you have somebody and they don't want to work, or you have somebody and they have anger issues, or they like to put their hands on either you or other people, or they're always in and out of the prison system. That's something, that's a person's personality. That's who they are. Don't think that you're going to change that. And I think sometimes people believe, I remember when I was younger, I used to think that, oh, because you haven't been introduced to me. Some people think, oh, you haven't tuned into my kind of love. Because like starting to boost yourself up, amp yourself up, and into thinking there's nobody that can love you like I can. So all the things that you did before, you're going to change because you're with me now. Don't fool yourself, ladies and gentlemen, into thinking that because you meet somebody, you see the red flags, you see all of the signs, you see all the negative things about a person. The whole thing is when you see who somebody is from the very beginning of the relationship, don't think that it's going to change. Don't think, oh, because you love them. Or here's another one that is a major no. So many women do it. And I'm sorry, ladies, but I have to say it. So many women think when they're having problems in their relationship, then they say, let's have a baby. That will make the relationship better. And I can say for myself, I know that I was guilty of that, into thinking that a child that will bring us closer together. If you cannot come together on certain issues while you are two individuals, there's no way you're going to be able to come together when it comes to that child. I'm just saying, I'm being honest. I'm having a mature, real adult conversation. If you are having problems, please don't go and have a child with somebody who is immature, somebody who is doesn't want to work. If a person doesn't want to work when it was just the two of you, why do you think they're going to want to work now that a child is there? A person just becomes more of who they are when a child enters. And if a person was a dummy or a fool or a lazy or whatever they were, they're just going to be more of that. Actually, when they find out about a child, they're going to take off and run. You mark my word on that one. Yeah, all you have to say is pregnant, and they'll be gone. Okay? Yes, Miss Nancy, having kids will only further complicate things, and that's what it is. Okay, I think we got two more points, and then we're going to get out of here. Okay. This is another one why people stay in a loveless relationship. It's social or religious obligations. People stay in a marriage or in a partnership due to social and religious obligations they feel because of their faith, because of what other people say, because of the social impact, what people on the outside will have to say, and they can't deal with it. They feel like it's shameful, like it's a curse. And, you know, it's a very hard and complicated things, especially if it's a marriage. There's kids involved. Then there's the religious, what can happen within your faith, depending on what's your culture and all of those things. So it gets very complicated when it comes to relationships, why people don't leave. And it's because sometimes they just feel like they can't. The family will shame them, ladies and gentlemen, because of kids. If you have somebody and they have anger issues, or their person, they like to put their hands on you, it is never acceptable. It will never be right. I don't care what anybody has to say. And I've heard so many excuses, doing counseling services. I've heard so many people say, it was me. It was my fault. I'm the reason why the relationship isn't working out. And we'll hear that. But yes, as human beings, we all have flaws. We all have things about ourselves. I'm not perfect. Nobody else is. Everybody is a human being. We all make mistakes, but I'm talking about the part of a relationship, the part of the relationship that is just so toxic that you feel like you can't even breathe, you know, especially if you have somebody who's very jealous. They won't let you have a life. They stalk you, show up at your home, they make you lose your job, they isolate you from your friends or your family. There's a lot of things that can happen about a relationship. So we as friends or family or people on social media, let's be supportive of people when they say, I'm unhappy in the relationship. You may not see everything. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors. I always try to be the person to not judge others. I don't know how the person is, even though a person could look and appear to be, oh, they're so nice to me. People can put on a good show. I will tell you that. People can put on a very good show and make it seem like, oh, it's not me, it's them. They're the troublemaker. Okay? Here is the last point that I want to talk about. The threat of physical violence, further emotional abuse, harming your children by depriving them of a nuclear family, and concern about how friends and family will perceive them are commonly cited reasons why people choose to stay in an unhealthy relationship, a loveless relationship. Emotional abuse, that verbal abuse will really do something to you even after you leave a relationship that is verbally abusive. People saying things about you, you're stupid, you can't do nothing. Those things stay with you for years and years. Even after you start to heal, it still comes up in your mind and still challenges you even years later. Another one is, being ignored. That's for me, um, that's a stab really truly through your heart when you're in a relationship with somebody and they ignore you like you don't even exist. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, because I have been through that in a romantic relationship. You're in a relationship and it's like they stop talking to you, and they talk about it with other people. They just don't talk about it with you. And you're trying to communicate with them. They don't answer your messages. They won't talk to you. They try to just shrug you off like nothing. I don't know. Maybe they've already moved on to the next person, or they don't want you anymore, or what that, and that's their way of dealing with it, or maybe they're going through some things mentally. There's a whole lot of reasons why people act the way that they act, but I always say this. If you don't feel loved, if you don't feel supported, if you don't feel heard and seen, if somebody doesn't make you feel like a queen or a king, they don't deserve you. We have to stop staying in spaces where we we allow people to treat us in a certain way. You let people run over you. You let people talk to you any type of way. Having self-respect means there's certain things that I will not allow. Even if it means I got to move out, I got to move on, life. You and all of those who feel like, I don't know if I can. Me speaking as a person who has been through that sort of relationship where you're in the beginning, what is everybody going to say? What is everybody going to say? Oh, everybody's going to be talking about me. Who cares what other people have to say? What is the most important thing is how you feel, getting your own self-respect back. Because when you stay in a loveless relationship, your your emotional, your mental, and your confidence gets messed up. Your confidence goes down. You start feeling bad about yourself, all because of the way that you're being treated. So if there's anybody and you're not being respected, you're not being loved, you're not being given, personal one-on-one quality time, don't take that. You deserve way better than that. To all the ladies, to all the gentlemen, everybody deserves to be treated with respect, to be talked to in a kind and compassionate way, to be seen and to be heard, to be supported, to be listened to. Everybody deserves to be listened to. And I know, ladies are different from gentlemen, and we have different wants and desires and needs. I get all of those things. But when you have a good person, okay, when you have a good person, you're willing to, while I don't understand it because I'm not you, but I'm here because I want to listen to you. I care about how you feel. That should matter to you, okay? Realist says, I promise if we focused on what everybody else had to say, we would never be happy. And that's what a lot of people do, realists. They focus on what does not even matter. And the one that you have right in front of you that treats you so good, that supports you, that would do anything for you, they take advantage of you. They don't want to talk to you. They don't listen to you. They feel like you're nothing. They treat you like garbage. Nobody deserves that. So if there's anybody and you feel unsafe, if you feel not seen in your relationship, you don't feel loved, you don't feel listened to, they don't spend time with you, you haven't felt loved from that person in a long time, I'm not saying just walk away from your relationship, especially if it's a marriage, but if you put in the work, and especially if it involves infidelity, if it involves being battered, now is not the time to play games and stick around. Loyalty is one thing, but preserving, okay, preserving your physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and healthy amount of self-esteem is so important. Everybody deserves the best. I wanted to say this to anybody who needs to hear it. You deserve the best. You deserve to be respected and loved. And if you are in a relationship where love is not being served, have enough courage to walk away. And I'm not saying you're going to have all the strength from within on your own to leave a loveless relationship, but that's when you depend on your mentors and counselors and therapists and your trusted friends. I don't mean everybody, because everybody's not going to support you. Yeah. Oh, the villain in the movie was called Loveless. Oh, okay. Easted, I never watched that movie. Hi, Metro. How are you doing? Thanks for coming in, Eastab. So that's one of the things that I wanted to talk about. If anybody feels embarrassed, if anybody feels just unhappy, like sad for a really long time, if anybody feels like I feel like that's one of the worst things in a relationship, is to be in a relationship and to feel alone. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. It's one of the worst feelings in the whole world, that you could be in a relationship and you feel like you can never go to that person. You can never get the support that you need from that person. It's the worst feeling in the world. I wouldn't want anybody to endure what I have been through. But I am only saying that to say, but hope is always there. You don't have to stick around. Leave. It's better for you to be by yourself. It's better for you to be in another relationship where you are seen and heard and listened to and supported, than to stay in one where you are not loved. So, yeah. Yes. Yes, Metro. Yes, it's the worst feeling ever. And don't think like it's going to change. And please, please, ladies and gentlemen, do not blame yourself. Do not blame yourself. Yes, there are certain things that maybe we may do in a relationship, but it's not all ours. Don't take ownership of all of the pain. Everybody does wrong things in a relationship, but it's not all your fault. You know, you have to take ownership of what you do. They have to take ownership of what they do, even if they don't want to. But then you move on. Then you move on because you deserve so much better. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to have love, to be loved, to be encouraged and supported and friended and everything. You deserve to have a phenomenal life. So don't settle, you know, and be in a loveless relationship for clout or money or what other people are going to say. Have enough courage. Walk away. Don't fear other people. Don't fear man. Think about yourself. That's what's important. Love on yourself and be yourself. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Metro says there's always hope somewhere, but not all relationships. No relationship is perfect. Not one. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I may be tapping back in on Saturday or Sunday with the members. So I'll see all my channel members either Saturday or Sunday. Yes, Metro says because there will be human errors in a relationship, and it can be, some people can be very self-centered. Yes. Yeah, I do believe that 100%. There's so many self-centered people, but it doesn't mean you have to take it. Just because a person, that's what they want to give you, it doesn't mean you have to take that and you have to put up with it. You can always move on. There is resiliency, there is strength, there is power, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I hope that this message served as some motivation, some encouragement to somebody, and get some support. There's so many support groups and counselors, life coaches, therapists, and there's just so support groups. There's so many things out there that you don't have to bury all that pain inside. You don't have to walk around like with a smile on your face and you're miserable. You can be phony with other people, but you should never be phony with yourself. Nothing is like being honest with yourself and saying, I'm just not happy. Let yourself have that and be that, and then have the courage to move on. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys back on the next one. This is Marlene of Marlene Motivates, your channel for motivation, fitness, and what did I say the third one? Motivation, fitness, and I just had a blank. And finances. Motivation, fitness, and finance. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys back on the next one.